It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Heather and Vera with the first episode of 2019, January, for I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hey, Heather.
Let's dust off those microphones.
Yep. There we go. Perfect.
I know. It's been a while.
Yeah.
How are your holidays?
Busy, and then you blink and you miss them.
I know. It's like I get so excited all year. I'm like, okay, it's going to be like 6 months away. Okay, like 6 more months. And then start November, it's like, boom, it slams into me. And then it rolls over me like a freight train. And then I don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I always feel. Like Christmas is over and then you're like, but wait a minute. I'm still feeling the spirit. I still want to be Christmassy. And it's like, it's sorry, it's over.
I know. I used to be one of those people that got excited when the radio stations would start their Christmas music November 1st.
Really?
Yeah.
You're one of those weirdos?
Yes. This year, literally, I just started listening to it the week before Christmas.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Yeah.
I was behind the times.
I know, man.
That little baby takes so much. Anyway.
Yes, they do.
I wanted to start off the year by everybody does this new year, new you kind of thing. And I think that's really important to kind of address and see that, give our listeners some tips on how to be successful in the new year.
Yeah, because you know how many times you make a resolution and it's gone by like January 28th.
Or just when you make a resolution during the year and it's the next morning you wake up and you're like, not doing that.
Yeah. Forget that. I'm having wine with dinner. I don't care.
Yes. I got to finish that box.
Right? And sometimes they just can't keep going. You're like, wow, I thought I only had like one glass left, but look, I got 5.
I feel like I've been on the same box for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not lying.
I can't do, I'm digressing, but I can't do the box of wine because then I drink too much. I can't keep track of what I'm drinking.
I would typically agree, but with Baker, he just keeps me on my toes so much and I'm exhausted by the time he goes to bed.
Uh-huh.
If I get a glass of wine, one a night, I'm lucky.
Oh, okay. So yeah, see, I can pound 3 or 4 very easily, too easily.
Before him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it says it's like, what, 4 bottles, right? Which 4 bottles, I can usually drink half a bottle a night. So that would mean that
2 glasses
should get me through a little over a week. But typically what I would do with the box is like within a week it was done.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't 4 boxes.
4 bottles? What size bottles are we talking about?
Exactly. Like the mini ones, obviously. Yeah. So I've been working with a coach and one of her things that she said, she's like, pick one word that you want for 2019. Mm-hmm. And my word is happiness. I just, every year I feel like I kind of, and I think it goes along with being sarcastic. You have like a negative tone on a lot of things because you're sarcastic and that it's self-deprecating humor and just a lot of that goes into it. So my 2019 is happiness. I just want to be happier. Not that I'm not happy, but like I want just like to have I want rainbows coming out of my ass and I want sprinkles coming out of my mouth. I want just like everything.
We won't recognize you if that's the case. It's just not going to work, Heather.
So that's my word, but it's how to achieve that. What would your word be for 2019?
Healthy.
Yeah, I know.
I've been struggling with this autoimmune thing and it's like, yeah, so I would like to be healthy. Well, and to get healthy, I have to think healthy. I have to eat healthy. I have to sleep healthy, all that kind of, my acupuncturist that I started going to, who literally is something out of a movie. Like if they said, would like to cast Asian lady to be acupuncturist, there's a picture of her. Like she's teeny tiny, awesome, wears this cute little hat and anyway, so she's like, you watch too much TV. Turn the TV off after 9 o'clock. You don't need to watch it after 9 o'clock. So stuff like that even can keep you healthier, not just the way you eat or working out or getting the right amount of sleep. And she's like, you're stimulating your brain till too late with the TV on. You got to turn it off.
What are you supposed to do then?
Go to sleep, or you can read. I think reading's okay. So, because it's more soothing, it's quiet. You're not like listening and looking at something.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, and that's what I've started to do. I started to read, and then I'll get like 10 pages in, and I'm like, okay, time to go to sleep.
Yes, because when I start reading, I start dozing off and like almost immediately.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, who needs sleeping pills when you can just pick up a good book?
I know. Well, it sucks because I really enjoy reading, but my eyes start watering. And it's really bad.
If only you could read through your eyelids. It would be great.
Or maybe somebody read to me. I do like audiobooks. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Oh, no. Audiobooks are great. So anyway, so that would be my word. But along with that, there's a whole modicum of things like sleeping, eating, getting some exercise in, or, even being healthier in my relationships, learning to speak up for myself, learning to say no to people, when I'm overwhelmed, learning all that, just kind of taking care of myself so that I can be healthy.
Yeah. Well, how are you going to, so I feel like those lists that are everything you just listed, and you used a really big word as well. So I'm proud of you there.
Oh, thanks.
I think that, like, how are you going to accomplish that? Because it seems so overwhelming when you're looking at these goals and like your word for the year. It just, you're like, I want to do this. How are you going to do it all?
Exactly. Well, and because I've started thinking about this and enacting some of it before the new year, one of the things I've noticed, the beauty of today is the internet and things like podcasts and websites and Facebook pages. A girlfriend of mine just turned me on. This just happened today because my joints are all jacked up. So it's hard for me to cook. It's really hard for me to do much of anything. Like I have to ask people to open stuff for me. And so cooking is not easy. But then I'm not supposed to have gluten, soy, raw vegetables, or dairy. So it's not like I can just swing through a drive-through. So I found a girlfriend of mine turned on to this little company here in little old Tallahassee where they'll make like you can get an individual or you can get like a family size pan of stuff. And it's supposed to be really good. So I instant messaged her and I was like, hey, how does this work? And, and I explained my situation. She's like, oh yeah, my husband is no soy, no gluten, no blah, 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 blah. And I'll send you a link so you can see how to order. And the prices are very reasonable and it's not far from my house.
Nice.
So finding those resources, like instead of feeling like you're on an island and you're like, I'm the only one trying to accomplish all of this, finding other people that can help you, finding those resources and talking to other people and seeing what they do really, I think, is a big part of it. And not being hard on yourself. Like for me, you know how much I love cheese.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give up cheese. It's been 4 days.
Oh, hey girl, good job.
4 days with no cheese. So that's, and my husband's like, don't beat yourself up if you have like a gluten-free piece of pizza with cheese on it. Like, don't freak out. So trying to be easy on yourself and not super all or nothing. When you're on a diet and you mess up and you're like, oh, well, the day's already gone. I'm going to go pig out now. I'll start over again tomorrow.
Raise his hand.
Yes, I've been there, done that too. I think being nice to yourself and saying, all right, I just had some cheese, or all right, I had a glass of wine, but at least I'm having 2 glasses instead of 4. God, I'm painting myself to be a lush. But it's the God's honest truth. I mean, I can put down 4 glasses of wine, easy peasy.
But it's not every day either. It's like maybe a weekend or a random weeknight, but not every day. So
probably about 3 or 4 nights a week.
Okay. I mean,
like every other day.
You have that rest time.
That's right. So so that would be my tip is like not to be too hard on yourself and look for other people who are maybe trying to do the same thing and get their support and find those resources.
Yes. And I think somebody, one of the people that I follow, and I know you follow her too, not in the extent that I do.
Yeah, you're obsessive.
I know. Well,
but I turned you on to her.
You did. I know. That's why I say this. But Shalene Johnson, she's like one of my, I'm a lifer of hers for sure. She just gives the best advice. There are some, that I disagree with, but I really like her advice of take 15 minutes a day and schedule that time every day that you're going to work on whatever you want to do. So if you want to eat healthier, schedule 15 minutes a day where you maybe do some research one day. Maybe the next day you create a menu for a couple days. And maybe the next day you go shopping for that 15 minutes. You're just scheduling those 15 minutes of time so that you're able to accomplish your goals without being overwhelmed.
Right. Well, that's, my husband always says, how do you eat an elephant? You eat them one bite at a time. It's kind
I
of
wouldn't. Thank you.
gross. Yeah. But you know what I mean? When you have
Yes.
that really big looming thing in front of you, taking, like Shalene says, 15 minutes out of your day to try and start tackling that thing, it's not as overwhelming.
Yeah. And so I think that really helps me, but also knowing that you can start something anytime. It's not, I have to wait until January 1st, or I have to wait until the beginning of the month, or maybe on Sunday or whatever. Like, start whenever you want, it doesn't but be aware and set yourself up for success before that day.
Right. Well, yeah, because when eating is just such an easy example.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but when I've been preparing to go on a diet, like I've joined Weight Watchers probably about 4 times in my life. 5, maybe? Anyway, every time it's like, all right, I'm going to go to my meeting on Monday. So then the whole weekend, I just pig out. So you probably gain like 2 pounds over the weekend because you're just like, I'm not going to be able to have all of this once I start my diet. So you kind of set yourself up for failure almost, because then on Monday when you're trying to eat all healthy and everything, you're like,
I'm dying.
I know exactly. Whereas if you tell yourself, yeah, I'm starting my diet on Monday, I am going to have some pizza, but I'm not going to eat the whole pizza.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's a little bit easier to start working towards your goal.
Yeah. And also like with the, everybody in January wants to, I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to get in shape. And it's also not tackling too many things at once as well. So like you want to get healthier. Do you think like changing your diet, starting to work out or at the same time is going to be successful?
Well, no. And really, although, I can't, it's hard for me to do any kind of workout right now, but I did discover Tai Chi, which I asked my husband, because this is not an official resolution, but a goal of mine now that he's semi-retired is to try and spend quality time together, just us, And so I found a Tai Chi class that both of us can go to in the middle of the day. And so I asked him, I was like, would you be interested in trying this out with me? January 7th is the first class. But in the meantime, I'm working, even though it's the flipping holidays, I'm working on changing my diet to some degree and doing all that. So that way it's not like January 1, bam, I'm eating nothing but broccoli and chicken and going to work out.
Yeah. Like I think, starting with your diet and having that time where you're eating healthier, and then maybe just add 5 minutes of walking. And then, if you feel good after 5, add another minute, the next day or whatever, but jumping in and saying, I'm going to do, P90X and
CrossFit.
Like
look out world, here I come. And then by the end of the first week, you're like, oh my God, I'm starving and I'm exhausted.
I would say the third day, probably.
Yeah, probably I always say whenever I've started a diet, if I can make it through the first 3 days, I can usually keep going, but the first 3 days are the hardest.
I don't usually make it to the third day. Like, let's be fair. And you have to think about also planning ahead. So if you're going to eat healthy, you should probably pack your lunch the night before, because that's the mistake I make. I work from home most days, excuse me, but on certain days, 2 days a week, I work from the office, and I'll wake up in the morning and, I've gotten everything ready for Baker the night before, but when I go to get my stuff, I'm like, Brad, what do we have to eat? Ah!
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll just get Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there you go. See?
That's easy.
And then you're like, oh man, I didn't eat anything healthy. Exactly. Well then, okay, so how do we apply that though too? Because, so that we don't end up talking about eating the whole time.
Yeah.
What about your thing about being happier? Like, what are you going to apply to your life or do differently to be happier?
I kind of started already doing things that make me happier. I tend to stress myself out a lot. And over
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You got me there. I tend to stress myself out over silly things, things that I don't need to stress out about. So I started slowly with work stuff. So I used to have my work emails come push to my phone, and I get notifications when I got an email, and I stopped that because I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I would just, my heart would start racing. I'd, stop breathing, and I would just, anytime an email came in, because I knew something bad was going to happen. So it's changing that mentality too of It's not going to be bad. And it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Like anybody that I've worked with, it's not the end of the world when a mistake happens. But when I make a mistake, I make it the end of the world. I'm like, no, how dare this happen?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on changing that mentality so that it's, if something happens,
You just fix it and move on.
Mm-hmm. And I've been working on that because, I sent an email out that went to 2,000 people and it had, a question mark instead of a period.
Oh.
And I was like, well, oh, wow.
Whoops. Exactly. Because people do make mistakes. Being too hard on yourself, I could definitely see how that would get in the way of your happiness and increase your stress level for sure.
Well, and your body gets used to that feeling like, oh, this is how I handle when this happens. And so I'm really working on trying to change that.
Yeah, well, and actually one of my many doctors, my functional medicine doctor, said that a lot of times your adrenal glands, which is part of that stress factor, some people, your brain and stuff like that can get, like you were saying, programmed almost to always be, he said it's kind of like you're running a car with no brakes. So you're just always going and you're either going really fast or not quite as fast, but you're just like revved all the time and you don't have any way to hit the brakes because you're just always under this, you have this constant kind of underlying stress thing going on, which ultimately affects your health. And
that's why my belly's so big.
Yeah, cortisol. So, so that can affect even, you can hold on to weight. It'll make you tired, makes you less happy. So that's a really good place to start with the emails.
Yeah. And I just giving myself forgiveness, just kind of in the sense that you were talking about, but before that happens, before the mess up, just saying, you know what, it's going to be okay. If something happens, it happens. And don't worry about it, because I'll check emails like 5 times before I send them, and it is what it is.
And all that stuff just adds, which again is part of the whole underlying theme to our podcast, which is forgiving yourself and not sweating the small stuff with your kids and being a mom and possibly having a job outside the home as well. And, that's all forgiving yourself and being kind to yourself.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be perfect, right? Everybody's supposed to be perfect.
Yeah, right? We are. And why aren't any of us? What the hell?
But we're so hard on ourselves.
We are. I know. That's what I've said to like several of my bosses over the years. Like when I've screwed up, I'm like, I'm so sorry. You can say whatever you like to me, but I will tell you right now, whatever you say or do, you're still not going to beat me up as much as I've already beaten myself up. Probably will continue to for the next week or so.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of sad, because if anybody's going to be nice to you, it should be you.
Yeah, for sure.
Which again, all this sounds like such common sense, but when you actually try and put it into action, it's hard. It's a lot harder than you'd think, because I think that we're so socialized to be hard on ourselves and expect more. We should be better. We should be better. Always getting better and not screwing up ever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever screw up, so.
I know. But those occasional times I can see how that would be stressful.
Yeah, but I think it's also something you have to pay attention to is not falling into that trap of like going back to your previous thinking and making sure that you are staying accountable. So having an accountability partner, I think, is really important. It's finding one, though, that's going to keep you accountable, because it's so easy not to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about making the changes I'm making, is when you find other people who are trying to do the same thing you're doing, and you start to feel like, and not just an accountability per se, but also someone where you can go, oh my God, I just really want to go wolf down an entire thing of donuts or whatever.
Box of wine, whatever.
Yeah, a box of wine. And they'll say, I know how you feel. I just felt like that yesterday, and here's what I did. Or just get through it. You'll feel better in about 20 minutes. Let's stay on the phone or stay on IM or whatever, so that you can distract yourself before you do something that's going to sabotage all of your efforts.
Yes. And, working out, something that, Shalene says is just give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes of starting to work out. And I guarantee you after that 5 minutes, you're going to want to stay in it. She's like, but if you don't, then you're definitely, then you're not there. You're not ready to work out today. So go, then you can give yourself permission to stop. But after 5 minutes, if you feel like, you should feel like you're, in it and you're ready to go. But if after that 5 minutes, then you have that permission to go.
Yeah. That's true. It does kind of happen that way. Oh, something else that I saw too.
What?
Along these lines. I saw an article about, because obviously the New Year's resolution stuff, trying to, instead of picking an annual one, because the way we treat it like, oh, well, this year, blah, 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 making monthly resolutions.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
For the month, you're not, you're in a habit and that's
right
now.
So, or like you could break down yours for being happier or mine for being healthier. What one facet of that, like not checking your emails after a certain time or whatever. And so this month, that's what I'm going to do. And the next month I'll add on another thing, So that kind of works too, I think. And then you're not piling all this crap onto yourself at the beginning of the year. And then when February rolls around, you're like, I suck.
Yeah.
I'm not any thinner or healthier, and I'm unhappy with myself.
No, that's what you wind up doing. And you're like, well, in November, I guess I'll make another resolution.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was an interesting, again, all these things are so simple, but actually putting them into action makes a big difference.
Yeah. I am a marathon runner and I eat nothing but kale and other healthy stuff.
In your dreams.
I know. But I plan on it every day.
That's right. Every day. Tomorrow I will start my marathon.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how many marathons I started.
Well, you're the one that started me with the 10K years ago. And I did the 10K and then I did more and I got Jerry to do more 10Ks with me and you went, wah, wah.
I know. Running hurts me so much though.
Yeah. Well, my acupuncturist told me don't ever run again. It's bad for you. Your pelvis is not shaped for running.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She told me my body isn't meant for it.
I need to come see the acupuncturist.
Yeah. She's actually quite wonderful because it's not just the acupuncture that's, heals your pain, but she's very holistic. So she looks at you holistically and says, because I said I love to run and I can't run anymore because of my joints, and she's like, you don't need to run. Running is bad for you. Your body's not built for it. And then she said, you know why you like to run? I said, why? She said, because you get all stressed out. The world becomes too much for you and you think running is going to relieve that stress, but you end up making it even worse.
Ooh.
Yeah. Some people can run, but for me specifically, she said, nope, don't do it. Never run. She literally looked at me and said, never run again.
See if she knows anybody in Denver.
Yeah, I could find out.
Yeah.
Because I actually have gone to acupuncturists in the past that were, one, and he was okay, but he wasn't holistic like she is. And I think you really need to go to someone who looks at your whole body.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See, referrals right here.
Resources.
Awesome. Well, I think we have some really good tips for our listeners and for us, and we'll check back in December and see where we're at.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Are you happier, Heather?
We will do a check-in. Will you be my accountability partner, Vera?
That's right. Okay. I'll hold you accountable.
Okay. Happier, and you're going to be healthier.
That's right.
All right. See you in a couple months.
Till next time.
Bye, guys.